You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we got Nico. What's going on, Nico?
Hey, Ryan. Excuse me, this is Nico.
What's up, man?
Idaho. So just, well, I was unable to watch the game. I was working that night. I had a gig, and I have the NFL thing, but I didn't even log on to the correct YouTube TV thing, and plus I couldn't really pay attention. But I had moments of, downtime where I could kind of check the score, and I mean, I wasn't excited that every time I looked up, looked like they scored another 7 points, the other team.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are many people calling for many heads to roll. I saw a couple things on, like, TikTok. People just freak. I was like, okay, I know you're trying to make, like, hits and stuff, but don't be stupid. It's game one. And it's not even game one, it's preseason game one.
Not even close to that.
So if we won 30-10, I would still be the same. You never know.
And again, all the negative fans, everything would be reversed. Positive fans would be talking a lot about what happened and how good everybody looked, and the negative fans would be saying, it doesn't matter, it's just preseason. So the whole thing is stupid.
I mean, yes, it is better when your backups play better. And there were some starters that did some bad things. But it's not the end of the world. If long than the starters have played the entire game, I would hope that they could, get into a rhythm and start cranking some stuff out. If you've ever watched an NFL live game, you know that happens. So, I still think we should probably catch the ball better. And for those people who weren't drafted last year, to not catch the ball, you might go bye-bye. But, I think I just missed my exit. How could I miss my exit? I just got on the freeway. Anyway, I don't care. I'll keep driving. So, I'm listening to some of the Clayton podcast, and you know what? There's some dudes that were kind of nobodies, and that's a good PFF grade. I don't really know what that means, to be honest. Obviously, I'm just going to focus on some good stuff. The first good thing when I was looking at replays on that good run, I just saw some offensive lineman just pancake a dude, and sure enough, it was the new guy. He lost that. I guess he had a couple. I tell you what, if we have a guard who's just mowing down people in the run game, oh my gosh, would that make me a happy boy? Look at the time.
Kind of breaking up a little bit there, but we got part two for Nico. I believe he's talking about Anthony Belton as far as the road grading. I saw a couple of those clips.
Got me. Yeah, if we had a tackle that could just mow some people over during the run plays, gosh, would I love that. I think Golden had a couple good plays, just the ones that I saw. Dobby, you better catch that ball, bro. I think Dobbs is kind of our all-around best receiver, but you can't be dropping stuff, not when they're drafting new receivers. Otherwise, at least catch the ball so we get better draft capital from you, looks like some newbies had some good grades. I know some people were kind of tweaked. I bet you everyone's getting sore and having injuries, so you can't really balk too much about that. As long as, Love, and Jacobs and some of our offensive line, starters stay healthy, defensive line starters. But, it is what it is. It's preseason game one. Let's all just, we're calling for the end of the world. All you people, just stop. We're good. I do. Heck, I remember when the Packers would lose all the preseason games and then start winning. I remember when the Lions used to win every preseason game, and they were so jacked, and then the regular season started, and whoops, they started losing. So, yeah, we'll see. I did notice Caleb Williams did not play, unless I'm mistaken. I looked at the stats, and I didn't see any, 2-minute drill miracles from Caden, whatever his name is.
Who?
Caleb, Caden, Goober, Fingernail. I don't know what his name is. But just, I was kind of bummed about that. But even if he would have had a good game, who cares? Wait till the regular season hits and it's not a bunch of vanilla crap. I'm just glad to see football starting, and maybe next time don't people get injured. That would be cool. And go back go. So let's see what's going to happen this week.
Yeah, Caleb did sit out the game, which I wanted him to play and play poorly so I could make fun of him, but it was just as much to make fun of the fact that they were hiding him. I thought that was a fun little attack line. We should see him this week, so tomorrow obviously we've got Packers as well as Lions and Vikings, so we can kind of see what happens there. But then on Sunday, again, we get the Chicago Bears, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, if he doesn't, this is crazy, but last I heard, Caleb is going to be playing in that game. So we'll see how it goes. If it's a reality, and I mean, I kind of think it is that they were borderline hiding him in that game. There's no reason not to play him. He's a very young player who did not play very well last year, is struggling in your offense, in this new offense. He's the most important piece, obviously. If he can't make this work, then you're all screwed. What could possibly be the justification for holding him out? I don't know. So if there's any truth to the fact that, hey, things are looking ugly, let's just give him the day off, we'll get back into practice and all that stuff, then I would actually kind of expect him, well, you still have to have some level of talent to have a good day, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do everything they can to make sure through the scheme and everything else that Caleb looks good. If that's their biggest concern, if they're actually worried about that stuff, they're going to find some plays that are working. They might even do stupid stuff like scheming against, I think it's Buffalo. They're going to throw every single thing they can at this to make sure that it works, which means it's probably going to be a lot of getting the ball in people's hands and hope that we can use some trickery and scheme to get them some extra yards after the catch makes the scoreboard or the stat sheet look really good for Caleb. A little 2-yard dump off is put in the stat sheet as a 20-yard completion. So we'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there. They throw the freaking kitchen sink at Buffalo. He does a decent amount well in maybe like 2 to 3 drives, and they call it. And they just raise his hand in the air, stop the count. We're good. But we'll see. Obviously hoping for a complete and utter collapse.
Packy, it's Brambo.
What's up?
Just listening to Omar's call here from the After Dark from yesterday. Yeah, sure. It sucked. It just didn't look good. It looked crappy.
Mm-hmm.
You have frickin' the right guard who's playing center, can't remember his name, gets smoked at the goal line to force a fumble. I mean, that's not great, but hopefully he's on the bench. But I wanted the saying that people are dropping passes who don't drop passes is, I don't know, I don't like that argument. Mecole Hardman had 14 targets last season. So, I mean, wow. And then we're talking about Malik Heath not dropping passes. He had 13 targets last season.
Yeah, but either way, are these guys that have drop issues is the larger point. The larger point wasn't the zero part. It was the they don't have drop issues part. So coming into the game, the problem is coming into the game, people say the Packers have drop issues. And then when Packers drop the ball, it's the Packers still are dropping the ball. Okay, but that's not really correct. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and to a lesser degree, Romeo Doubs had drop issues. Now, that's a huge portion of the wide receiver room, which goes to your point about snaps. But when Mecole Hardman and Heath have drops, how is that supposed to make me, you know what I mean? I mean, we're not very tight in our language about this stuff, unless there is some kind of a connection here that I'm just not understanding, where it's the Packers in general just have this horrible thing that, Mecole Hardman, when he showed up here, he suddenly became a guy that had drop issues is the concern. But I don't think that's the case anybody's really making. So one guy that kind of had drop issues, Romeo, had a drop in the game, in a game where everybody was dropping the ball, which speaks to, in my opinion, more of just one of those games where there's just a lack of focus across the board. And not that that's a good thing, but it's so far from my mind of, I guess the drop issues haven't been fixed. How do I know that? The biggest guys that we have on the team with drop issues are Reed and Wicks, and neither of them had any drops in the game.
So, I don't know. I think maybe instead of fishing for things to look at on the bright side of, well, people who normally don't drop passes are dropping passes. Well, there are people who normally don't get passes, so.
Yeah, and when they do, they don't drop them. And there's also more than one season, right? So it's not, they didn't get a lot of passes last season. Okay, but in their entire career, have they ever had drop issues? And the larger point, even before you go look it up, do you know the answer? I'm guessing not. And again, my whole thing is, if you didn't come into the game saying Mecole Hardman has drop issues and that's a problem, and then he drops a pass and you go, oh, see, there's those drop issues, you're applying a problem that Wicks and Reed had to Mecole Hardman because they're wearing the same color jersey. That, I guess, is the problem that I have with it.
Anyhow, can't wait to get to next week and see how we go with the joint practices. I believe those are far, far more beneficial, as you said.
Yeah.
Being able to actually get one-on-ones, ones versus ones, and structure the reps and the looks you want to see. So, anyhow, appreciate the content. Talk to y'all later. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, and I'd say it went pretty well. I'm sure there's plenty of room to complain about the offense. Was it the offense? I think so. I think they said down the stretch when they were doing actual team stuff, the defense is won on both. But it sounded like at least the Packers' defense was about as dominant as you can get. So hopefully that carries over into the preseason game, because I think, again, I understand we haven't seen football in a long time, and so there's this extra anger and frustration about the first preseason game not going well, but I just think the Packer fans we could use something good here. You know what I mean? If the defense could just dominate again, even if they lose the game, the offense looks bad, whatever, with no Jordan Love and no wide receivers or anything else like that, if the defense could just come out and beat the living crap out of the Colts, I'm going to go ahead and call that a win. All right, let's take our first break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan. Steve up in Alaska. It's a beautiful day up here. I'm staying in my deck, getting stuff ready for the winter. Gonna put some metal up on my roof today if everything works out. But I'm calling in because I'm listening to everybody, and I'm hearing you as well talk about how we're looking at the preseason. And I'd just like to give my personal view of how I look at the preseason. Mm-hmm. Seeing what happens in the preseason matters. But it matters only to a degree. We know the players who we expect to be something. If they don't look like something in the preseason, don't worry. We've seen them in previous years in the regular season be performers. So we understand what they are. Don't worry what they're doing in the preseason. What you should be looking at the preseason for are those second-tier or even more importantly, third-tier players and seeing if they can show some potential. See if they can show some flash. That's what the preseason's all about. It's about seeing the secondary players. Because you know what, boys and girls? We're going to have injuries. We need to see if those guys can play. Because they're going to be on the team. And if they can't play, we got a problem. So don't worry about what the team looks like as a set thing and oh my gosh, we're going to look at this in the regular season. That's not what we're doing here. We're all trying to find out what we have in terms of depth. And that also means we're going to put those depth guys in situations that are very difficult for them to deal with. so that we can see them do things. And yeah, the coaches want to see them be good. We all want to see them be good. But let's be honest, if they fail, that's video and film that they can put up and say, look what you did wrong, second string, third string guy. You want to make the team? We need to fix this. So being bad in the first game of preseason actually is kind of beneficial to a degree. Now, I know people can say, no, we want to be great. But it gives us film for the coaches to use to correct problems. That's the point of preseason. So I want everybody to calm down. We can do great as the season goes on. I remember watching Peyton Manning and the Colts look terrible preseason after preseason after preseason, and then go on to win the first 10 games that they play. So go Pack. Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy it. Let's look forward to what we got going on this season. I'm going to stay in my deck. Bye.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, why is it you think we use a vanilla offense and defense? What is the point of that? Why not scheme things up? Why not do crazy stuff? Because we want to see what these guys can do without the help of the scheme. If I'm telling, as the head coach, Matt LaFleur, Jeff Hafley, if I'm the head coach telling Jeff Hafley, hey, throw your best stuff at this team over here, I mean, you might be able to scheme some guys pass rushes or whatever the case may be, but what did you answer in terms of what their actual capabilities are outside of, being helped to do things? So, I think that's a big part. They would even go so far as to put you in disadvantageous situations for what you were talking about in terms of let's see what these guys can actually do. And yeah, it's low on the roster guys in terms of depth players for the regular season, but also bubble guys. Can you guys actually do this stuff? Do you have the technique? Do you have the ability to do X, Y, and Z? So, yeah, I do think there needs to be an element of understanding the point a little bit. Nothing wrong with wanting to win and all that stuff. I want to win and I want everybody to look awesome and everything. But yeah, you're doing way too much when you're looking at things that happened and then say, so therefore that's what's going to happen in the regular season. Look, even if it happens in the regular season, something were to happen, a good play, bad play, or whatever, that still doesn't mean that that's how things are going to go for the rest of the year. So, yeah, it's just we're trying to make too much out of too little. It's a little out of control.
Hey Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay,
Yep.
and as much as I wanted the Packers to start the starters in the preseason for Game 1, I think in Game 2 and Game 3, there's been some debate, I guess, about whether we should keep playing them because they didn't play well, but the team just can't afford to, even if you really wanted to, because there's not 4 preseason games anymore. There's only 3, and you've got a big part of your roster to figure out at the bottom of the roster.
Yeah. And
if you use a quarter of 2 different games or half of a game, it's that's just too much opportunities taken away from the other guys, in my opinion. And right now we have something like 12 cornerbacks, not including Bullard. So we got to see what these guys have and start narrowing down a couple. After the second game, we'll probably cut 2 or 3 guys and then let the final ones who are on the bubble battle it out for the last couple spots in the practice squad spots. I don't think we're going to need anywhere near, 12 to 13 cornerbacks, including the practice squad. So, yeah, that's what I'm watching. In the next preseason game, I'm just going to be watching the bottom of the roster guys who are on the bubble and see who's making noise in it and see who is playing poorly enough to possibly get cut and go from there. But yeah, I don't think, even if Love was 100% healthy and all that, I don't think you play your guys anymore. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, have a good one. Bye.
Well, and that's the other thing. Everyone's very focused on, who needs practice, Preseason isn't as much about practice. It's not that it couldn't double for that and that it doesn't help, at least a little bit. I don't think it helps a ton. I don't think it helps nearly as much as people want to pretend that it does. But a much larger part is, it's the bottom of the roster guys trying to figure out who's going to make the team and trying to parse all that out. That's a bigger part of what we're doing, and that's why they get all the snaps. That's why you'll see the starters come out for a series or two and then sit. If this was about practice or if it was about winning the game or any of that kind of stuff, we would see significantly more from the starters. We don't, because it's more so about the other guys. It's about the depth guys. It's about the roster bubble guys. So you might not like that about the preseason, but that's what it is.
Howdy, this is Jared Trader, the Uber driver from Texas.
Yo.
Well, you asked about Ubering. Ubering's not bad.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we live in Wisconsin. We have a walking.
Let me fast forward a little bit. I think you got, your Bluetooth switched or something. Yeah, I can't hear you, dude. All right. Jared, you're going to have to call back. Can't hear you. Why don't we take a break because we got 4 calls left? So we'll run through those on the other end. We'll be right back.
Ryan!
Yo.
How the heck are ya? This is Nico. Sorry I butt dialed you. Apparently I was telling someone where to park.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I would do, but
helpful
it's funny
guy.
because so the reason why I butt dial people or butt dial you is because you're actually saved in my favorites on my phone. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'm probably not the only one because it's a call I make often, so it's easy to find you. And it's funny. So last night yesterday was mine and my wife's 37th year anniversary.
Awesome.
And we're sitting there at this nice, fancy Italian steakhouse. It's very nice. If you ever come to Boise, I'll take you there. Oh. And I used my phone for something. I don't know what. I had to look something up. And I set it down, and then I like to turn my phone over because I don't like if something flashes, I got to look at it.
Yeah.
And I noticed it flashed, and it was calling Packing It After Dark. I'm all, why? That wasn't even a butt dial. That was the sit down the table dial. So anyways. So you're in my favorites. Just so you know, Ryan, you're one of my favorites.
All right,
it's
don't
like
say
my wife,
that.
my children, and you, and then there's really nothing else. So anyways, hey, go Pack Go, and these people should all stop getting injured at training camp.
Well, as uncomfortable as that last part made me, I am glad that you said that because I was also going to mention that my real phone never gets butt dialed. So that one is never in anyone's favorites. The phone number that is me. So actually, I'm very happy about that. I'm not in any way upset. Yeah, stop getting hurt in training camp. That'd be nice. I don't want to start saying I just want this to be over, considering how much time I spent wanting this to be here. It's kind of like the rule about, at least that I adhere to, some people don't care, not complaining about heat in summer. Not doing it. It's not winter. You've been waiting for this. You can go outside in shorts and a t-shirt and put meat on the grill, and maybe you sweat a little bit. All frickin' cry about it. All right? It's kind of the same thing. As much as I just want this over with because I'm terrified that somebody important is going to be hurt very seriously, I'm choosing not to voice that displeasure.
Hey Ryan, Dennis from California.
Yo.
I don't know if you saw what Cooper Kupp was saying about the rapid evolution of offense and defense since basically McVay had full reins of the car. But if you haven't, you should go listen to it. But basically, he was talking about, I think it was 2016 or 17. It's just they were so far ahead of defenses, and as you go and you watch it, it's just absolutely true. It took Fangio and it took Belichick in one in a playoff game and one in a Super Bowl, I believe. It might have been in the regular season, the Bears game, but it took that for somebody to finally slow down that offense.
Figure out what to do, yeah.
And then you start seeing people start coming out with these different concepts that add different principles to the defense. But it's just very fascinating, and it kind of shows you just how nothing's ever static in the NFL. Everything's rapidly changing. So, for example, it's like the whole Joe Barry thing. He's jumping on with one of these new concepts, but then it changes back to where you got the Vikings defensive coordinator now doing his kind of stuff, and you got Brock Purdy. This is not what Cooper Cup's talking about, me kind of diving into it further, but you got Brock Purdy was tearing up the league, and then he goes and plays the Vikings defense, and they just completely put a kibosh on it, and it's just nothing is static, and some of it's all just football versus football, but then you get some of these teams that just it just puts the damper on things. So it's just very fascinating. I'm ready for week 1, aren't you? Go Pack, go.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't said it in a while, so I don't remember exactly how I phrased it, but that's kind of why I had said in the past, there's different levels to the whole coaching thing. And it's one thing to be a guy that's really, really adept at a certain scheme. And I kind of think that's what Joe Barry is. Not to, who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's because he was brought in for that he felt he needed to do that. I don't know. But, the coaches you actually want are not guys that are experts in a scheme, because very soon that scheme is going to be essentially useless. And so the question is this guy going to be smart enough to know how to adapt that scheme and kind of create your own thing and create something new and different and better, or not? Because if not, then you're stuck and you're useless and you're no good to anybody. So yeah, you gotta find that right coach. I'm hoping that we have that guy right now. He seems to be a pretty smart guy. We saw him make adaptations to his scheme based on the guys that we have that all went pretty well. So, that's what you need. Otherwise, you just need to keep rehiring coaches all the time, which I guess technically, theoretically could work, but it's just you're putting yourself at risk, because if you get the wrong guy one time, or if you get the wrong person, kind of like even with Joe Barry, where we went and got Joe Barry right at the time when that whole thing was kind of ending, and it was just kind of crap timing. So yeah, ideally you just get a brilliant defensive mind that is less static about a certain scheme and more just knows how to diagnose and attack offenses, I guess. But yeah, there's that. Randy in Minnesota, what's up?
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy from Minnesota. I just really want to thank you for that deep dive you did a couple pods ago about how all the other fan bases have their negative fan base.
Yeah.
I'm really serious that every Packer fan should have to listen to that. I'm so sorry for the dog that's barking. No, it was incredible. I don't understand, why do you want to watch football if all you're going to do, or be a fan, say you're a fan, if all you're going to do is be negative?
Yeah.
I mean, all right, realistically, will Green Bay win the Super Bowl this year?
Probably not.
Probably not. But you know what? There's always that chance.
Yeah.
And that's what we live for, that chance.
That's exactly it. And I think that's what everybody's missing. The beauty of the Super Bowl is that it's so elusive and it's so rare. It's not that again, I think people get confused, or they misuse the phrase, this is the standard. And by that, what they think that means is anything less than that is a failure, which means I'm going to be pissed off every time we don't win the Super Bowl. The beauty of it is how elusive it is. When you win that thing, and it's been 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, first time in franchise history. Oh, Packers haven't won anything in 15 years. Oh, wow, 15 whole years with two teams winning almost every Super Bowl in that period? Seriously, we got the Eagles with 2. The Chiefs have, 5? The Patriots have a bunch. There's almost no other teams that have won Super Bowls aside from those 3. You got a Rams one snuck in there somewhere. Tampa. It's not much. There's every reason to be, you're super into it, see the highs and the lows and all that, but you can't be so. You're just not getting it. You're not understanding that that's what makes it so special. If all winning a Super Bowl is finally meeting expectations, you're way off on this thing, and it shouldn't be that hard for you to figure that out.
And how many good times and good memories do we have as a family watching the game together and Green Bay winning? And it's just, there's so many special memories, at least in my family, built around watching the Packers.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why people can be so negative. And I know people will probably say, well, go home, boomer. I always go back. I think a lot of these negative fans are young fans.
Could be.
Yeah, everyone's younger than me these days, but who don't remember the bad old days of the 70s and the 80s. Hey, we're winning, and we're winning a lot, and we should be dang proud of it. The second thought I had was I read recently that, well, Caleb got put on his tail during the scrimmage with another team, and he's looking around, and not one of his offensive linemen came up to protect him or came up to stand up for him or even help him up.
Yikes.
That's a little something that needs to be put in your back pocket.
Yep.
It's almost like the team's already saying, you're a loser. You're going to cause us to be a loser, and I don't really care about you. Let's get in the backup. Anyway, that's just my thought. But once again, Ryan, thank you again for that deep dive you did. And I agree with you. If you're going to be a negative Packer fan, why even be a fan? Go be a fan of someone else. Stop bringing us down. And that's all I got. Go Pack, go. Bye.
And I'm not even opposed to having standards and holding your team to that standard. But if you set an impossible standard, then you're just being a miserable bastard and you're ruining all of this for all of us. That's it. And all of you do set unreasonable standards, and I know that. And it's why I encourage all of you to go root for another team. It doesn't even have to be permanent. Just go pretend for 1 year to root for another team. Pick any one you want. You're not going to be satisfied. You're not. And by year, I mean 365. So you have to go through the season and then probably not win the Super Bowl, even though you're probably going to pick either the Eagles or the Chiefs because you're assuming that's your safest bet to get what you want. But even then, okay, fine, but I want to hear about free agency and the draft, and they better do everything right. Otherwise, you better be pissing and moaning the same way you do with the Packers. Nobody is going to give you what you want all the time. Nobody. And to be honest, if you really want to be a fan of the teams that give you what you want all the time, with the exception of the Super Bowl, you have to be a fan of the really bad teams. It's the really bad teams that go all in the free agency and do all the crazy wild stuff, partially because they have all the money, because they're not spending any, because their team sucks, and partially just because they're really poorly run. As much as I'm sure you don't want to admit it, that is being a poorly run franchise. When you're acting impulsively and going out and trying to go buy everybody, as opposed to just doing things the correct way and raising talent in-house, draft and develop. It's just, it's the only way you can do this. It's not to say you can't do anything in free agency. You're probably going to have to at some point. But if you think you can just win by utilizing primarily or exclusively free agent talent, I mean, there are financial constraints. You can't do that. You're also going to have a very old team. It's going to be very expensive. You're not going to be able to afford anyone. So, that's the point. Scarcity. You have limited resources. What do you do with it? The biggest thing about the limited resources is you have to be very good at drafting. And if you're not going to put your emphasis on that, you're not going to do well. It's why the Vikings' long-term prospects look awful. If they fire Kwesi tomorrow and get somebody else, then they might actually look great, depending on J.J. McCarthy. But even Vikings fans will tell you, I mean, he's doing a good job in free agency, but he's terrible drafting. And even the free agent thing is more about him just doing things than doing amazing things. I mean, I guess you could call Sam Darnold an amazing thing. It is quite amazing what happened. I maybe would put that more on the coaching staff / a fluke / maybe he just figured it out. We'll see if he plays well this year. I have no idea. That's a weird thing that happened. But yeah, if you're betting on a team, don't bet on a team that can't hit in the draft. That team is not going to do well.
All right. Hey, this is Dakota Bat Nerd in Tennessee.
Yo.
I was just listening to, I don't know, the podcast you did about the Colts, the joint practice, right? And you just finished the bit about you hear future negative fans. You ended it with, and you're pissing me off. If that didn't sound like some random, like, BS, a freaking rant that I've gone on, you had me rolling, dude. That one was good. Anyway, kudos for that. That was excellent. Yes, that call that you did skip of mine, I can't remember who else called, but you took a call from a gentleman that stated that it was, tried to go back and even find this call so I could give him credit, but I couldn't find it because apparently I'm stupid.
Yeah,
but I went and I called and talked about when you were referring to Kyle Brandt and his, just complaining about us treating Caleb wrong or something.
Yeah.
I brought up the leave Brittany alone thing on YouTube. Yeah. I also brought that up, which was amazing to me that somebody else did.
That is funny.
But I also suggested that, Clayton, Tim, and them folks, since they're excellent at using sound drops.
Yep.
Every time they should find that sound drop, right, of that one guy going, leave Brittany alone. Find that sound drop. And then every time you come up with a hilarious, you're like, Caleb sucks and this is what happened bit, you should play Leave Brittany Alone. I mean, if anybody is laughing, I will be laughing. So, anyway, peace.
Well, that is some pretty high quality stuff. The catch on that, I did fail everybody by not coming up with something. But that does need to be a thing, and I am really, I don't know, whatever, man. Look, somebody's watching these guys. Obviously, we're not all the same. They have an audience. Somebody likes what Kyle Brandt has to say. I don't know what the heck is wrong with them, but they do. But I think that whole thing is really just pathetic. And just a lot of whining nonsense. So, it's so pathetic to do that thing. And I'm sure every fan base has done this. I know I've seen Bears fans do this where they're more than happy to call people out and be negative about this, that, or the other person, or say that they don't believe in this, that, or the other person. But the way that this plays out is Kyle Brandt will say, Caleb is going to be amazing, he's going to be so good, it's going to be awesome. And then when he's bad and people make fun of Caleb, then all of a sudden it's, well, that's not nice, you're being mean, how dare you? Don't start playing the frickin' morality card. Just because you were wrong and you got called out and he's your guy and you're sad that he's not good. And now, rather than just taking it on the chin, now suddenly you just have to pause the show and express your moral outrage. Bro, shut up. Just absolutely and completely, totally shut up. Can you do that for me? That'd be great. All right. Well, that is it. We're all the way caught up, which is actually kind of perfect because we got the preseason, so I shouldn't have to really skip anybody. I will say, though, similar to what I've said in the past, you probably shouldn't call in until the game. If it's within an hour of the game, I'll probably play it, but I'm more than likely going to skip any call between now and before the game because for all the same reasons. So just wait until the game kicks off. I'll assume if you call it 11:57 that it's you at least waited and were like, okay, I still want you to play this. All right. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Packers. Have a good one. Bye-bye.